From being a key piece to the first and only team ever to come back from not one, but two 3-1 deficits in the playoffs, to overcoming injury and paving the way to becoming a legend. This is how and why Jamal Murray is absolutely cold-blooded. It isn't just Denver fans that have taken notice of the rising star on the Nuggets. Jamal has become an absolute phenom on the court, and has even fashioned himself a nickname, Maple Curry. It's a combination of his background of being a Canadian and his ability to be scorching hot like a living legend with a similar sounding name, Stephen Curry. Murray's already well on his way to becoming a household name in Canada and America with his ability to put up incredible stat lines. Stat lines are just the beginning though, because he's anchored himself to some records that may never be broken. After a gruesome hamstring injury that put him out for an entire season, he's looking hotter than ever before. And with his two-time MVP teammate Nikola Jokic, they're looking to make more than just a name for themselves. Break out some hot chocolate and some pancakes, because you're going to want to sweeten that palate today, watching the video to the end, learning more about Maple Curry. We're going to go over his journey from Canada to become a basketball star, his historic performances in both the regular seasons and the playoffs, how he overcame his injury with some advice from someone who went through it himself, and just how high his ceiling really is. When you think of the Denver Nuggets, most people immediately have one name on their mind, Nikola Jokic. However, it would be foolish to sleep on the second anchor to the team, Jamal Murray. Jamal has come out to say his role model for playing in the NBA was Vince Carter. Even though Vince himself is American, while he was playing for Toronto, he was a big influence for Murray. Like Carter did in his prime, Jamal's already putting up mind-blowing performances. In the bubble playoffs in 2020, he and Jokic led their team to become the only team to come back from 3-1, not once, but twice. However, all greatness comes from somewhere, and Jamal is no different. Jamal Murray said that he started playing basketball when he was only 3 years old in Ontario, where he was born to Sylvia and Roger Murray. He could play for hours and hours, and boy, does it show. Murray even played in a league for 10-year-olds when he was only 6. Where does his intensity for the game come from? Well, in the NBA special Jamal Murray: The Return, he said there were many reasons why he was drawn to basketball, but it was his father that kept him grounded and drilled into him the concept of hard work through failure. Roger actually came to Canada when he was 9 years old from Jamaica, and in one of the segments, you could hear him tell Jamal that missing is frustrating, but it's supposed to be. Not everyone had the same mentality as Roger though. He was consistently told he was wasting his time trying to train and cultivate Jamal, who, despite his hard work training in the snow and with meditation and kung fu, was told he didn't have the talent and they didn't know what they were doing. Jamal openly has come out and said everyone was a doubter, everyone except his father. With their perseverance and hard work, Murray would step up to the plate and fight through all the haters by playing against high schoolers and even college-age young adults when he was only 12 years old. Murray's talents eventually started to get noticed because his high school friends said that they would call him Glitch. Reason being, he would do things that seemed like he was breaking the rules of a video game. In a few short years of hard work, Jamal Murray would go from having nothing but haters to having everyone believing that him being in the NBA was almost a no-brainer. Two of his former teammates would say that the mental toughness he had was just different. When it comes to his college career, he was a simple one and done. He would commit to the Kentucky Bobcats and lead them to a #1 ranking and the SEC title. Jamal was also third-team All-American and earned a spot on the SEC All-Freshman team. He would then forego his final 3 years of college and enter the NBA draft in 2016. After years of intense training and being told for years he couldn't get it done, he was selected number 7 overall by the Denver Nuggets. But he would need to persevere a little more until he would catch his stride and start gaining any notoriety. Murray would miss the first 17 of his shots off the bench for the Nuggets over multiple games before finally scoring a basket in the NBA on his 18th attempt. But it only took the first shot going in, and he said he felt he was finally here. And he wasn't the only one, because he developed an insane chemistry with his longtime teammate Nikola Jokic, who was drafted 2 years prior. Before the NBA though, it turns out they were once opponents when they faced off as members of Team Canada and Team Serbia. Once in the NBA as teammates, coming off the bench together, they quickly started to play around each other's energy. They both described their games as complementary to each other, and Murray describes Jokic's passes to him as perfect every time. Despite Jamal saying the Joker didn't have much emotional energy for the game from time to time, when they were fired up, the duo were nigh unstoppable. Jamal himself says it better than anyone. "We don't even speak the same language, but we do on the court." And he isn't lying, because when the two started to mesh and become co-stars on the Nuggets to play in the playoffs in 2020, they came through together to make history. The first opponent for Jamal in Denver was the Utah Jazz, and he was going to be in for an intense battle with a fired-up Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz would get the best of them in 4 games to bring the series to 3-1, but Murray was just getting warmed up himself. After averaging 31.6 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.6 rebounds for the series, Jamal in Denver would do something not many have done and overcome a 3-1 deficit by winning 4-3 in 7 games. Not being any stranger to adversity, it turns out Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets would have to do it again. For a second time, they would go down 3-1 against the Los Angeles Clippers, and again, Murray would have to step up to the plate or be eliminated. This time with a little more heroics from Jokic, Denver would overcome a 3-1 deficit and beat the Clippers 4-3 in 7 games. Jamal was certainly no slouch though, because he would get 22.6 points, 6.4 assists, and 4.4 rebounds himself. It would be the first time in NBA history that a team would overcome 2 such deficits twice in a row. Unfortunately, they didn't have as much luck against LeBron and Anthony Davis's Lakers, and would go down in the Western Conference Finals 1-4 in a gentleman's sweep. Murray would continue to go on a tear in 2021, making an utterly incomprehensible record of scoring 50 on the Cavs without making a single free throw. His efficiency was through the roof, going 21 for 25, including 8 for 10 being from 3. Despite it looking like the Nuggets still had a path to the finals, disaster would strike for Jamal. On April 12, 2021, against the Golden State Warriors, he suffered an ACL sprain with less than a minute to go in the fourth in a close 7-point game. After trying to stand, he realized he couldn't put any pressure on it, as a shocked Klay Thompson was looking on from the sidelines. As he was being evaluated in the locker room, he would get a visit from Klay, who had also suffered a similar injury in Game 6 of the Finals versus the Raptors. Jamal said he never talked to Thompson before this, but he offered kind words and told him it would be a long road, but he would get through to the other side. For the 2021 postseason, it was pretty much a wash for the Nuggets without Murray as they went down in 5 games to the Warriors. Jamal Murray would end up missing out the entirety of the 2021-22 season, and Jokic must have been tired out there not having his second scoring option. Then, in the 2022-23 season, Murray finally returned on October 19th, scoring a cool 12 points in 26 minutes. His hot streak would slowly get back to full steam, because on February 4th, Murray scored a season-high 41 points, alongside 5 boards and 7 dimes. Then, we reached the postseason, where Murray's always known to dial it up to 11. In the first round, Murray lit up against the Wolves, pounding out 41 points in Game 2, making it his 5th 40-point playoff game, putting him amongst some of the greats. The Nuggets, alongside Murray and Jokic, would easily put away the Wolves in a commanding 5 games. Knowing Jamal, it never stops there, because in the second round versus the Suns, with Booker and Durant, he would go off. In Game 1 alone, he would rack up 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists against the Suns, and they were easily dispatched 4-2. Not even all-time greats are safe, because against the Lakers, he would show how clutch he really is, and he would steal a Game 2 from LA by scoring 23 in the fourth alone. This sent LeBron and Davis directly to Cancun, because they eventually got swept right off the court in just 4 games. Of course, Jamal would continue to blow our minds in this series and compete with Jokic for setting records, because he made history again. For a conference finals, Jamal became the first ever to average more than 30 while having the esteemed 50-40-90 percentage stat line. Despite his injury not allowing him to have quite as long a rap sheet as other NBA superstars, it's obvious Jamal Murray has otherworldly NBA talent. He was told he couldn't compete in American basketball as a Canadian, and he shut down all the haters. Jamal is an absolute baller that's earned his Maple Curry nickname, and as long as he sticks it out with the Joker and stays healthy, the dynamic duo are going to do some amazing things in Denver.